Welcome to Venator Chronicles Podcast. I'm Ethan Taylor.
And I'm Dustin Jelly.
Our hope is to inspire new and old hunters alike.
We hope you can join us on this journey of lessons that we have, are, and will learn through the world of hunting.
All right, man.
All right.
Should we just jump right into it?
We are back. We've stoked the fire.
We've got you guys stoked.
Yeah, we've got you guys stoked.
For part 2.
We've restocked our whiskey glasses.
Yep.
And we've relit the cigars.
Yep.
So here we are. Hopefully, guys, your week in our 1 minute.
Yeah. It's true.
Hopefully, y'all are still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
hopefully
it.
nobody's died.
Yeah.
Or nobody's sick. I'm
Yep.
sure maybe. Apparently we're supposed to still be on lockdown by the time this probably drops. So
Yeah, that's true. Till at least April 30th.
yeah.
Is that right?
It's
Which by the end of it, I'll be out hunting turkeys, and you'll be hunting turkeys by the.
Yeah.
You'll already have been hunting turkeys by the time
Hopefully
people
I'll
hear this.
harvested one.
Yeah.
For the first time ever.
Yeah, dude, with
With
the
the-
single string
yeah,
bow.
yeah,
We wouldn't want people to feel.
Yeah, because it's not a
Like you're
stick
posing.
bow, since it's made out of metal, foam, and carbon fiber, and all things not trad.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. So, last time we left off.
Yeah, what's the name of the article again?
Steps, yeah, so the name of the article, which we'll post somewhere, is an article by Dan Infalt on mind control and big bucks.
Yeah.
So, but really, it's a good mental framework.
Yep.
For just approaching hunting.
Yeah,
in general.
and we're finding it's got a few life lessons in there, doesn't it?
Some good life lessons.
It does. It does have some good ones.
Because we're all about the microcosm of hunting into life.
Mm-hmm.
So, picking up where we left off, step 7 is a good one. Believe in the setup. Dan says, you can't believe you're in the wrong spot. If you do, move to where your gut leads you and have faith in the new spot. If you don't, you'll start thinking about other things than hunting, like fantasy football. Your mind will wander. You'll start fidgeting. Oh, that's true. Subtle but important sights, noises, and clues will be missed. And then opportunities will be squandered. Don't let that happen.
Opening morning last year for me.
You were fidgeting?
I had no confidence in the spot I was in.
Ooh, that's rough.
Opening morning.
Ouch.
Like we were talking
Was
about.
that the one where you went up into that
So we were
stand?
talking in the last episode. We talked about that spot with the really big buck, and then I was like, "Oh, I can't hunt that tree." So then I had to make a last minute adjustment, and I went
Follow
out.
your gut.
I climbed up into the tree, and I was like, "I don't feel like I'm in the game." I mean, I text you guys. I'm like, "I'm not in the game." At least my mind wasn't.
No, because you were texting us.
Well, I don't know if I texted you after it or whatever, but I climbed into the tree opening morning, right, which is supposed to be the pinnacle, let's go. And I got up into the tree, finally got settled in. I maybe sat there for 15 minutes, and it was really hard because I was like, oh, daybreak, all that. And I was like, I really felt like I wasn't in the game. As far as I'm like, deer aren't going to be here. I'm just feeling like my gut says I need to be over there. And it was like a 50-yard difference maybe. And I climbed down opening morning, you know what I mean? Like prime time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to get to where the deer are. And so, at least in my mind,
Yeah.
I had to really feel like I was in it. And I climbed down, and I went and I sat on the ground. And I had opening morning, I have a video of it on my Instagram, I believe, I think it was a 4-pointer or so, within about 12 yards of me. And so I was in the game. I was in the game. It wasn't the deer I was looking for, but I was in the game. I had an amazing experience, and it was like it was amazing. It was awesome. And I was on the ground, so I was super excited about it. Got it on film, which is for me is I love that part of it. Wasn't planning on shooting that, especially opening morning. And so there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah. And there was some moments in the season where it wasn't quite to that extent where I was not feeling confident. But I think that as time goes on, I'll get more sensitive to that. To where it's like, if I'm not really feeling it, I probably should just go to where I believe deer are going to be If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have you had any moments like that where
Yeah.
you've made some last second adjustments?
Yep. I mean, I think back to our trip when we've talked a lot about that. That was probably the biggest moment of that kind of thinking of, oh no, I'm just not feeling good about that. I'm feeling good about this.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of other experiences like that. Sometimes I think they were valid. Sometimes I just, in my depression, I was just lost.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, which I think part of that kind of comes down to then also having the knowledge, of what to look for and sign and where to be really helps.
Yeah.
Which I definitely felt like as the season went on, I really learned a lot of that to where I could start making those assessments. But yeah, definitely, I think just believing in the setup, having that confidence, because there were sometimes I went to some spots where I sat, and I was just like, I'm just not feeling good. And guess what? I saw nothing.
Yeah.
And it was a hard lesson to learn, feeling like, oh man, I just wasted
A hunt.
a hunt.
And it's valuable.
Yeah, but now in retrospective, looking back and being like, that was a really good lesson.
Yeah,
I learned that my gut said, this isn't feeling good.
Yep.
Just change it.
Just do it. Even when the conventional wisdom,
Yup.
you don't move.
Yeah.
First
don't
daylight,
move. Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yep.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
And when you feel in the game
Yep.
and you feel engaged with where you're sitting,
Yep.
exactly what he's talking about is
Yeah.
so true. You're really
So-
tuned in. And, dude, I know we've talked about that hunt a lot, but that was a moment when you're like, I really think we need to be over here. It's like a proud moment.
It's like the one
dude,
thing I did
Dude,
all season.
I really felt, it was like, and I don't want to overemphasize it because obviously we're both new to this stuff, but it felt like a real father-son moment. I was like, he's getting it.
I'm so proud of my boy.
I'm still working on getting it, so I don't know why
Hey,
it felt
you've
like
got
that.
years of experience ahead of me. So
Yeah,
there's some truth to that.
It's not. They weren't the most productive years, but they were lessons, I guess. So we've harped on that before. So yeah, cool, awesome. Next,
It was a good cigar. Got him smoking a brick house. Maduro.
looks like a brick house.
It does, yeah. That's my brother Caleb got me this for Christmas, and I've been waiting for the moment where I knew I'd be outside for a while and just enjoy this big, meaty cigar.
Nice, dude.
So
It looks good.
it's been a good night for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, step 7 was believe in the setup. That good lesson there. Step 8, this was interesting. Take breaks. If it gets to be a grind, or if you find yourself frustrated, just take a break. Put hunting aside temporarily. Do something different for a few days. Hunting is supposed to be fun. Keep it enjoyable. Boom! Ooh. That one was really like, woo!
Well, and second, that's unexpected from Dan.
Yes.
That's unexpected from Dan.
I did not expect to read that from Dan.
That is not something that I've heard him talk about a lot.
Yeah.
I've not heard him talk about that a whole lot. But I have heard about experienced hunters. One of the ones that we've talked to quite a bit is Seth.
Yep.
And he's like, when it is not, he's like, it's supposed to be fun. And
Yeah.
when you lose that, you got to change something.
Yep.
And I think that is exactly what that is. You can do it for those not watching. He's really working on getting this brick house lighted up again. It's really a production to get this thing going. It may take a village. But anyways, that is a huge one. And I think for me, interestingly enough, that kind of goes along with me duck hunting, goose hunting. It is so relaxed. So that was my break 2 years ago. This year I didn't go goose or duck hunting. Next year I'm really planning on to, not just for the break, but my kids really want to go out again. My oldest went out with me 2 years ago, and he absolutely loved it, and I should have made a point to do it this year. And so there's a regret. But this next year, I'm definitely going to do it multiple times, I believe. And the reason I did it 2 years ago is because I was like, I need a change in pace. And oh my goodness, to be able to go out there with good friends, to be able to talk virtually the entire time, not have to worry about scent control, not march, however far back in the, worst conditions, whatever, and just to be able to go out there, to have them. And for me, it was really nice because I was using everybody's stuff because I haven't gone head over heels yet for waterfowl.
Yep.
And so it was awesome just to be able to show up and enjoy the time with everybody, blasting away at ducks in the sky and being able to talk and just laugh and just have a really good time. That to me was such a breath of fresh air.
Nice.
And going out there, I was challenged. It was challenging me, being like, I should be able to stand. What if the buck walks by this morning? Afterward, never crossed my mind. I was like, this is the right move.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was. This year was just so busy, I think, just in general, where I was like, I need to get out when I can.
When you did get out to hunt, that was almost your moment of relaxation.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Given like the whole, we talked about the anxiety attack, all that stuff. So it was producing that for me, where it was a sense of like, even if I don't get anything, there wasn't that weight of like, I have to get a deer. And so it was just rejuvenating this year in that sense. But that for me was my break. It was still hunting, but it was being able to do it in a way where you could really just take a deep breath and hang out, laugh, have a good time.
That was definitely, as we've talked a lot about. I did not adopt that mindset this last year. I mean, I got to the point where I was so frustrated that
could you have used it?
I think maybe I could have.
Oh, I
probably should have.
I think you might have actually done it though.
I did, not intentionally.
Not to rejuvenate yourself.
Not intentionally.
And I don't think it was as rejuvenating as it could have been.
Because I had 2 chapters, I would say. Well, 3 chapters. The first third of the season was enjoyable. It was a challenge, but it was enjoyable.
Yep.
And then when the first third didn't produce anything like I thought it should have, I entered the season of despair and doubt and depression. And I didn't enjoy hunting at all. I mean, it was one of those, like, I'm going to put my head down, and it's just, we're doing this not for the joy of hunting, but for the accomplishment of the mission. I got to get this crap done. Yeah.
Got to get this out of the way.
Yep.
Get the monkey off my back.
I don't regret. I think it was needed. It's kind of part of my personality is like, if I got a challenge in front of me, I'm gonna get it. Like, I'm not gonna just quit.
Conquer.
Yeah. I wanted to quit. We talked a lot about that. The episode of why I almost quit hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But then, finally got to the point where, like, I'm done. And then had an opportunity to hunt uber late season in Wisconsin there with you and Benny, and just had an easy access spot, where deer were coming in to feed.
Low commitment.
Yeah, commitment, low amount of work. It was just, a chance to, in fact, I hadn't even thought about that until one day we actually we meant to go just shoot at the range and find out the range was closed. And you're like, well, let's just go sit and maybe shoot a deer. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Hanging out with you and Ben and
Shane.
And,
yeah.
It just rejuvenated hunting again for me.
Oh, it's good. Dude,
So, in a sense, not intentionally, but unintentionally had that kind of rejuvenation. And, it was huge.
And for me, again, it came back to the community. And when you get too much out on a mental island where it's like, I'm the only one suffering, I'm the only one not, and I'm not saying you were necessarily.
I felt like Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Yeah.
Me and my Bo Wilson.
Yeah. I was wondering why there was that bloody handprint wrapped around the limb. Yeah.
I'm so alone. Wilson. Samick. So
one thing, and that was actually, come to think of it, Poppin thought, that was one of the things that Seth and I were talking about separate from you, because we weren't sure what to do
with me.
But the thing is that
we're like, do we divorce him or do we help him?
We didn't want to go through the paperwork, so we were like, let's just sit on it for a little bit.
I appreciate you remaining my podcast wife.
But one of the things is that, and especially Seth, because he'd been, struggling with archery much longer than both of us, is like, he's successful consistently. But he's like, I've been through all the stuff he's experiencing and I want to help him. And it just felt like it was a closed door at the moment.
Yeah, it was.
But that's where it's like, maybe for you leaning into the community and like, you'd kind of given me some structure of like, I don't need you to fix the problem because that's, again, silver lining guy over here. But doing like, that's ultimately what rejuvenated you, it sounds like. It's what rejuvenated me 2 years ago. I was like, oh man, it was good to get out with friends and just relax and enjoy it. And it wasn't deer hunting; it was just getting out there and taking a deep breath.
I think that was for me. That I'm a social guy. I love. Well, I don't just like hanging out with people in general, but I love hanging out with my friends.
Yeah,
And hanging out with you and Benny during that time was what was really needed. And just being together, having fun.
Yeah,
suffering together.
Yes,
that's huge.
Well, and that was really cool. If you guys haven't looked at the YouTube video, it's out there on our page
on the interwebs.
But we actually were able to capture that hunt, and that was the hunt where I was like, afterward, we're all standing around talking about it. It was a missed deer, but it was just like to have that experience and sharing it, real time with each other, dude.
So much fun.
I watched that video and I absolutely love it. It was so good laughs.
Yes.
Good adrenaline dumps. All this stuff was there. I'm like
over some does.
Yeah. You know? And I didn't even have my bow in hand, and I'm shaking afterward. I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. So man, it just you can't emphasize that enough. I guess the community side of it.
Yeah.
So
really, it's finding that if you need a break, take a break. Find what rejuvenates you and get back out there, because maybe even a week break might have done me a lot of good. But
I think with some intention.
Yes,
with some intention. Like you said, it was unintentional, but I think if you can look at it and go, hey, this is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And if I'm just going out there with this mentality, I'm just going to put it on pause with the intent of let's just get back to really enjoying being able to go out, having, living in a land where we can do that.
Because that's like turkey hunting. I'm going on year 4 now.
Yeah.
I've yet to harvest a turkey, kill a turkey, slay a turkey, whatever phrase you want to call it.
I'm going to use the soybeans one so much.
Ain't a soybean. But they do eat soybeans. But like I've missed so many turkeys too. But I've never been frustrated with turkey hunting. Like turkey hunting for me is so such not necessarily low expectations, but it's just I just love turkey hunting. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Because of because I get to go hang out with my friends. I get to go hang out with my buddy Steve.
Yeah.
And we get to go turkey hunting together and just have a lot of fun. And so just trying to how do I carry that over into deer hunting?
Yeah. When are you guys going to add me to that group?
Whenever you want to buy a ridiculously expensive.
Is it really that expensive?
I don't know. I think it's expensive.
Minnesota is not friendly to outside hunters
it's not,
compared to Wisconsin.
Even though we don't have a whole lot to really offer.
Yeah, well.
Because all the wolves killed them.
Yeah.
Per Aaron Snyder. Next. So, step 8 was take breaks. Step 9, see the truth. That's deep. What he says
here. What does that mean?
I don't know. We'll see. Magazines. Hunting shows, social media. Ooh, I like where this is going. Even hunting events jam success down our throats. Preach, brother. From the outside looking in, it appears most people shoot big bucks every time they hunt. Yes. I look at my deer mounts, and even I have a hard time believing what I've accomplished in 40 years. 40 years. 40 years of hunting. I haven't even lived that long.
We're working on it.
We are. We're getting closer.
In process.
But those mounts don't show all the struggles and failures that got me there.
But they show them to you.
Yeah. But what a good reminder.
Yeah.
Dude, that's some insight.
It's hard to add to that, honestly.
Yeah, so step 9, he says, is see the truth.
Dude,
I mean, that
we've been talking about it. Honestly, I feel like we've been talking about that for weeks.
Pretty much.
I feel like
our
we've been
whole
talking about that for weeks.
podcasting career, our year-long podcasting career.
Touch over a year, okay?
Yeah, touch. Just a touch.
Just a touche. Touche, what?
But
a skosh.
But I really like that though, on that reality of magazine hunting shows, and namely social media. It's real easy to just look at the success, and because very few people are showing the failures. And even then, even in the times that people are showing the failures, they're generally not showing all the failures and all the struggles. And so I know, like I said, for me, this last year, that was one of the big things was like, oh, if I put on all the scouting, I find where the deer are at, I got them on trail cams, I should be able to go in and kill them.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Can I get real with you for a second?
Ooh, get real.
I'm going to say vulnerable. You're going to say honest, okay?
Yep.
What is it? This is something that I've
Here we go.
been curious about.
Deep moments.
We've talked about this privately
We'll call them,
little bit.
We'll call them whiskey moments.
Let's do that because that's what it takes. No, but I've been curious on when Seth was successful, when I was successful. Not a lot of communication or celebration from your corner, so to speak.
What corner? I was totally out of the corner.
but no, this is the thing.
Keep going.
My honest question, yeah. But I'll elaborate for the listeners. And this isn't to make you feel bad by any means, but just truly want to understand your thought process, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, because it feels like a little bit of that has. I don't know if it's. Well, I don't know. I don't even want to put words in or thoughts in your mind, whatever. But when someone else is successful, like for me, I am excited for them and with them. And Seth and I felt like we were that for each other quite a bit.
Yep.
Whether it's even scouting and being successful, all it is. Where are you at with that mentally when Seth's, killing monster bucks compared to what we're even looking at on camera, let alone in person? Or like when I got
my, and I know some of the 180-inch deer in front of him.
Exactly.
Which we need to get him on here and share that story.
Dude, stories.
Yeah, stories.
He's got 2 monster bucks under his belt from his last year, and
we'll get him on here soon. We promise people.
We love you, Seth, and
we do. We miss you.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
But truly, like that's one thing. I've just been a little bit dumbfounded. Might be a little too strong of a word.
Confused,
but confused would be a good word. Because it's like we go into it together.
Yeah.
And then when someone does it, it's like if you were to do it, I know what I would be.
Yeah.
Right. Ecstatic. Yeah. Over the top. Yeah. Like when you got your buck. Like it was almost as good as me getting a buck.
Yep.
And where are you at? What are you thinking? What are you struggling with? Like, what are the things going on with you with that?
Well, I think right now it'd be way different than it was in November, December of last year. I think we've talked a little bit about that, just where I was at. I was just so inward focused on trying to accomplish this own mission and like there was zero joy for me personally in hunting, and that I think translated and carried over into there was just zero joy for you and Seth, like a complete jackwagon that I was.
So
and there's
so
no
makes my heart sad.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I apologize to you, Ethan. I apologize to you, Seth. And I really wish I had been able to share in the joy of your guys' accomplishment. Because like right now, like if that was happening, like I would be ecstatic. I would be pumped. It was just last year. It was just that unperfect storm that just carried over negatively, and so I think we've talked a lot about that. But yeah, as far as just sharing in the joy of your hunting party, even if it's not like you're hunting with them, but vicariously you're hunting with them. And so hopefully this next year, I'm not such a jackwagon.
Hey, man. Well, and that's the thing is like, and Seth and I think I've shared this with you, like we've obviously talked about it, especially during, because we were just confused.
I was confused too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know where I was.
But we just didn't know like
what the meaning of life was.
Yeah. And it's, it's just like, that reciprocation of, because obviously like you find good sign and we're excited for you kind of thing. And so I don't know, it's just like that. But I think don't give up on, especially when someone's going through it. That's been a challenge, just like in general with anybody who's going through it. Like just because they're not reacting the way you want, or they're not a part of it in the way you want or expect, whatever it is, it's not, you just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, where it's like in time, in conversation, talk about it, work through it, figure it out, because I want you to be able to enjoy that as well, because like for me, if I'm not getting anything, I'm totally my like even with Seth, like I am rejuvenated and boosted by his success. I'm like, yes, like pays off. It might not be this year, whatever it is, pays off. But that was one thing where I obviously, and
you
like
were befuddled by it.
I was struggling with it because I was like, I thought we were in this together, man. I thought we were in this together.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
So see the truth. I think just keeping that reminder that it's easy to look at what everybody else is doing and being like, why isn't that me?
Yeah.
In the hard times, and just being reminded that there's a lot of struggles. Even looking at it was really encouraging this last year following Dan Infalt and how, granted he's targeting a particular box, but even for him, he even talked about how much of a struggle it was this last year and how long it took him to get one of his target bucks. To accomplish one of his goals. And just following that was also really encouraging, especially coming out of that hard time and being like, okay, you know what? Like, if Dan Infalt can struggle like that, this is very normal.
Yeah, and I think that's where I wish, I don't want to go to whatever, beat this dead horse, but our hope was to be able to be those people for you and with you, was that, and obviously I don't have nearly the level of experience Seth even has, but he has had that experience. And anyway, but that was the hope, was like, dude, we feel you. Yeah. So anyways, okay.
Anyways,
we can move on. I'm okay.
I think it is, looking at, and moving forward, even for us, being able to share all of our experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, is super vital. Hopefully it can encourage somebody, because like I said, hearing and seeing the struggles that Dan Infalt had, or even like listening to Aaron Snyder talk about how many times he's missed deer or whatever animal he's out hunting, especially with the struggles sake, and going like, okay, if someone at that level of experience and ability is going to miss or going to struggle, it's normal and okay that I also struggle and whatnot. So I think just a good reminder for all of us, especially as we engage with others on social media and share our experiences. We're not just sharing the good, we're also sharing the bad and the ugly and the struggles and the ups and downs and the emotions behind it, and just being a little more honest.
And I think I think that vulnerability you're talking about.
You mean honesty?
I don't. Hey, we haven't showed the behind the scenes back and forth about vulnerable and honest. So like, anyway, people are probably picking up on it. But I think that is such a testament to, really just the intent with the podcast is to give the realistic perspective that, hey, not everybody has it figured out. Everybody is going to struggle. Yeah. And like you said, it's not that perfect social media picture that's put out by, the vast majority, I would say, of hunters. It's, no post, and then all of a sudden, hey, I got this big buck. You know what I'm saying? Like, here's the trail camera, and then here's me with the dead buck. And so it's really encouraging, and I encourage other people, obviously beyond us,
also
to be open to the idea of just sharing in those, because it is a lot more rewarding even and reassuring to those struggling. So
amen. So that was step 9, see the truth. Step 10, meet problems with solutions. Challenges arise, respond appropriately. Everything happens for a reason, and nothing is coincidental. Wow, I can't even talk. If a stand squeaks, locate the origin and fix it. If a buck comes in from an unexpected direction, investigate and find out why. Sorry, folks.
Yeah, we don't have a cough button yet. We're not that pro.
Yeah. If a deer sees movement, pay better attention. Move forward rather than backwards. Never leave a question or problem unresolved. I can't tell if I'm reading Jocko or Dan Infalt.
Yeah, he's nailing it with this list.
He's nailing, yes.
Some serious experience behind this.
Yeah, 40 years of experience.
I'm going back to microcosm. Here I go.
Here we go.
Life lesson.
Whiskey moments.
We did talk about this. Event plus reaction equals outcome. And if we're just identifying problems and we're not interested in actually reacting to them in a positive way, there's people that I'm familiar with, to say familiar with, that are really good at identifying issues and really bad at at actually bringing a solution to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that sucks the life out of yourself and others around you.
Yes.
And so when you encounter something where exactly the things he's talking about, where you got a squeaky sand, even metaphorically in life,
Ooh.
instead of just being mad at the squeaky stand,
Fix it.
do something.
Yeah.
Right? So adapt.
Yep. And I think that's, something that I didn't do very well, if I'm honest. In that couple month period of being frustrated was I didn't figure out, okay, what are the problems and how do I fix them? Because clearly I'm an incompetent idiot at hunting, and I should be looking at figuring out, okay, what are my incompetencies and being conscious of those incompetencies, which is something that I know from experience in jiu-jitsu. I mean, that's what I love about jiu-jitsu is you're constantly being being provided problems that you have to learn how to fix and how to address, because otherwise you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
And so and why it didn't carry over this year into hunting, I don't know. But now looking back, it's clearly like, wow, I really need to be able to self-assess my issues, what I did wrong. And now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many issues.
Yeah.
I moved way too much. I moved way too quick.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. Was probably our biggest deal.
And here's the thing, and I would say coupling the expectations with this is that it's not a matter of if things are going to go wrong or if unexpected things are going to happen.
It's
just
when.
And so if your mentality is that things like this are going to happen, unexpected things are going to happen, my job isn't just to see them and identify them, be upset about them. It's to solve them.
Yeah.
Because that's what's ultimately going to help you achieve your goal.
Yep.
And that's in anything,
Yep.
right? And so having the expectation of this is not going to go perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best.
Yep.
But the reality is none of this is going to go perfect. If everything went perfect, it wouldn't be called hunting, right? It would just be called killing, harvesting. But really, I mean, that's the reality of it. If it all went as planned, it really wouldn't be that. It wouldn't draw me in that much.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's those challenges and looking at those as opportunities to really figure out a solution.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So now I'm going to move to the mini cigar I have.
To get you through the last couple.
Yeah. Because we'll probably continue to talk after the podcast.
Touche.
Yeah, so I think that's, a really good microcosm lesson for life.
Yeah.
Just being able to assess problems and find solutions. That's just key to being like a good worker. Is presenting problems and solutions to your boss or to whoever,
and
not just complaining about it. Which
that was
honestly,
one thing.
I did a lot of complaining those couple months. I have no problem admitting that.
Well, and
I think you would totally agree.
Well, and I think I know early on in my work experience, I was taught whenever you have a problem, don't just come with a problem, but come with a possible solution. Here's the issue. Here's what I plan to do. What do you think? And so that's something that it's fun to do with you and Seth during the season. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. Here's the win, blah, blah, blah. Here's my issues, problems.
Yep.
Here's what I'm planning on doing. And then you guys are, well, have you thought about blah, blah, blah?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's been good to have people to be able to do that with.
Yes. And scouting, I think, is one of those big, constant problem-solving moments.
Yeah.
Where I found that out last year. As you get out, you scout. You might even find good stuff early in the season. All of a sudden, you're like, where did these deer go?
Yeah, well, that's going to be, I think, one of my challenges going into this next year is figuring out late season where the deer went, basically, because I pulled trail cameras and it's like gone.
Yeah,
gone.
Well, as we've talked about previous episodes, I think a better solution than that is just killing the deer quicker.
Sounds so simple.
Yeah, it's simple. Yeah. It's just not easy.
Just go do that.
Yeah.
Simple concept.
Step 10 was meet problems with solutions. So now we come to the final And he didn't just end on 10 because Dan Infalt isn't like the normal human being.
Living outside the box,
yes,
my man.
I love it. The final one is be tenacious. We don't write articles or make shows about the days when we fail. You don't see the mistakes or the 20 days we hunted without seeing a deer. Smart hunters don't dwell on bad hunts. Instead, they press on. They don't fear screwing up. It drives them. Hunting big whitetails in pressured areas is a series of failures, one after another. A smart hunter laughs at them, learns from them, and drives harder to succeed.
What's up, Jocko?
Jocko, good.
Dude.
That's
Dude.
deep.
It is.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, I definitely think that's kind of been, that's kind of the whole point of this podcast was just to share what we already talk about. Because, there's so many things that we're learning and figuring out, okay, how do we drive harder? How do we drive better? How do we drive smarter next time, next year?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Thoughts?
Well, it's to me, it's like having that quarterback mentality. If you get stuck in the interception, in the last screw up, and you're stuck in the last play, and it's the next play already, you've set yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
You're living in a moment that is out of your control.
Yep.
There's lessons there. Yeah, take all the good you can, laugh off what you can.
Yep.
Whatever, but.
Yeah.
If you're living in the last mistake you made, you're just going to be stuck in it.
Yep.
And you're going to be stuck in the next mistake and just the next one and the next one.
Yep.
Instead of, it goes back to the managing expectations. It goes back to having a positive attitude, all those things. That, it destroys all that stuff.
Yes.
And to be able to go, look, I learned, and now I'm moving forward into you're giving yourself that fresh start.
Yep.
Every hunt. Maybe it's halfway through a hunt you need to do that. It's all those things, just trying to take the best from it and then not giving up.
Yes. Yeah, and letting those mistakes, really drive you to becoming better. I had this, probably my biggest experience learning this was outside of hunting, but in jiu-jitsu a couple years ago. I was at a big event. It was televised. I was the first match of the night. I was going to come out with this flying triangle, just to put on an awesome show, and I did. It pulled off the flying triangle, and I just couldn't quite sink it in and get the submission. And had I, it would have been awesome.
Yeah,
would have been great. I would have won. It would have been over real quick. Would have even probably made the highlights, which thousands of people would have seen. It would have been great. But I ended up ultimately losing that match. I got choked out with 10 seconds left. And it drove me nuts. It ate at me so much so that I went, and in my mind I was like, you know what? I'm never ever going to get into that position again and not be able to finish a triangle. And for the next, I don't know, it was like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 months. That's all I did. At my gym I was so focused in. I was just like, all I'm doing is learning how to get in and finish a triangle from any position that I'm at. And I did, and I became really good at it. And it was good because I learned so much about that, so much about other things, but it really drove me to get better at what I failed at. And now looking back at this last season, it's like, okay, I made all these mistakes. Now, how is it going to drive me to get better at those areas, rather than being like, oh, well, I'm just going to be depressed and give up on hunting, or just be like, oh, it wasn't my fault. It was the deer moved.
It's one of my favorites. I didn't miss the deer. It moved.
I'll try not to.
That was
call
so
you and
good.
scream at you when you accuse me of missing deer.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
Have we shared that story?
I feel like we have, but it's
I don't know if we have, but
again.
So we got into discussion one day on missed
discussion
deer.
is putting it lightly. Let's preface this. We are the absolute worst at communicating through text and Facebook.
We hate each other.
We seriously,
via
if you
text
read our
messages.
Facebook messages
you think
or text messages,
we're like a couple.
you would be like, these guys hate each other. I don't know why they message each other.
How do these guys do a podcast
exactly.
and seem like they like each other?
It's so rough. It was so rough. And I'll let you tell your side, and then I'll correct it after. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we just got in some discussion about missing deer, and you're like, oh, well, you missed X amount of deer. I'm like, only missed a couple.
No, it started like this. I'll correct you right now. So how many deer did you say that I missed? Do you remember?
I don't know. I was like 3 or 4 and something. That's what I
thought.
It
was. Here's the thing. I had lost a deer. I had missed a deer. And then I thought there was at least one more, wasn't there?
I think there's one more. I thought you had missed a different doe that turned out you didn't miss, but you just didn't have the opportunity that I thought you had missed.
Okay.
So anyhow, we got on a discussion of missing deer.
The idea was, this is how I felt. This is so good. This is great.
All about feelings.
No, but through Facebook, because, dude, we talk about... I literally just made a post about this where it's like, Facebook's the worst place to talk about this stuff because there's so much nonverbal and you can't pick up on nuances or tone or any of that stuff. And so you misread everything all the time. Anyways, he had said something like, more or less I felt like, well,
I was just like, you've missed a lot.
Yeah. And
you really need to work in your shot process.
Yes. And I'm sitting there going like, literally in my office by myself, like looking around like, we missed the same amount of deer, my friend.
What a jackwagon.
I was like, we missed, and I'm like, I guess you need to work on your shot process then if I need to work on mine because we missed the same amount of deer. And so then we clarified that I didn't miss a deer. I just didn't have an opportunity on one.
Yep.
But we did miss the same amount of deer. And then you're like,
I didn't miss.
You're like, I didn't miss.
Yeah.
I did everything.
I missed a couple, but this one, I did everything I was supposed to, and the deer jumped. Which, yeah.
And I was like, so the deer missed your arrow and you didn't miss? Like, I was like, so if it hit the deer, then it's not a miss, but if it misses the deer because it moved, it's a miss. And it was like,
we got into a battle of semantics
to the absolute maximum degree. And you called me.
Called you.
I literally thought you
I was speaking loudly.
I literally thought it was a joke.
Define yelling.
And, yeah.
Define
like, I did and I was like, so there's absolutely nothing you would change about like all this stuff going on.
I was like, no, I wouldn't change anything.
It was, I did my job, and all this stuff. And I'm like, but it's still, if the arrow didn't hit where it was intended to hit, I was like, that's a miss, right? And we were, it was heated for a moment.
It was heated.
It was heated.
And then we resolved it.
Yeah, we did.
We kissed and made up.
Yeah. Before COVID-19, of course.
Yeah, before COVID, yeah. Because,
Yeah.
So, that was
hilarious.
That was hilarious.
That was, in hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight. We laugh about it now.
We do. It was yes. I wouldn't trade that moment for anything.
No, it's
good learning experience.
Great learning experience. But, oh, man, hopefully the smoke's now not going to ruin our video.
Nah, whatever, dude. It's authentic. We'll go for it.
There we go.
It's fireside. It's part of the
fireside.
Part of the
smoke
production.
side now.
Yeah, make sure people know.
Yep.
So
anyhow,
you had anyway. So it was really funny because I was like, we missed the same amount of deer, and you were not having it for a while there. But I understood what you were getting at, and
I was just being tenacious.
Gosh. Yeah, that's maybe another word. Defensive.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you've never been defensive.
I've never been defensive, dude.
But no, that was awesome. That was awesome.
That was a sidetrack.
It was. It was. Anyways, it was awesome. It was again, hindsight was amazing. But all right, man. Well, cool. What do you think? Should we wrap it up on this, or should we wait till you light your cigar and then then wrap it up? You can do it.
So, yeah, I think it was just a really good list.
Yeah.
You know, that when I read through it, it was a couple months ago now, I was just like, wow, this is really, there's some deep things here. And a lot of good lessons, a lot of good, I think overall, one of my big takeaways was I was really struggling with the idea, like Infalt talks a lot about, the DeQuistos talk a lot about, is having confidence going out and hunting with confidence. That was something I really struggled with this last year, and really trying to figure out, like, how in the world do you go out hunting with confidence? Because I didn't at all this last year hunt with confidence. And hadn't really the previous years, but really this last year, because I went out with a lot of purpose and, work put into it. And so I was like, oh, I should be able to get deer.
You felt like it was supposed to happen
supposed
a
to
certain
happen.
way.
And it wasn't developing.
And then you lost the joy and the passion of it.
And so now, after thinking about it, and reading through this list, now I can see what really helps build confidence.
I can see clearly now what creates confidence. That was brutal.
And it was. Oof. We apologize. But I think reading through this list now, I look back, I'm like, oh, okay. Like, setting appropriate goals, scouting with a purpose, putting in the effort, having a target, maybe not necessarily target buck,
but target goal.
Target goal, having a target goal, believing in the setup, seeing the truth, meeting problems with solutions, and being tenacious, and really just the idea of being intentional and having a focus.
Yep.
That to me, I was just like, wow, I'm looking forward to deer hunting this year, because I think that confidence will be there, being that I'm having a particular focus in mind, as we talked about in the last episode. And I think looking back and thinking about like guys like Infalt and the DeQuistos and how they go out, they have specific targets in mind, which translates to specific goals. And when you have specific goals, it's a lot easier than to parse out and plan and approach stuff, rather than just being like, well, I hope I can shoot a deer.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the general area of deer.
Yeah, which just leads you to being like, well, I hope.
And
then when it doesn't happen, you're left with almost despair.
Oh. That's the word that came to my mind.
Because you don't have a plan.
Yep.
And when there is no plan, how do you reorganize? How do you regroup? How do you
Well, how do you measure up when your goal isn't met? Or if you don't have a goal, how do you take these shortcomings or these unexpected things happening, and if you don't have something to set that against, you can just see it as shortcomings and that's it. Opposed to if you see it as a goal you're working towards, okay, how do I overcome these obstacles to start reaching that goal? How do I start building on this to actually reach that goal? If there's nothing to measure it against, you're gonna be totally taken by emotions.
Because people talk about, when having a plan, it sets you in motion. And when you're in motion, you can adjust accordingly versus just going, well, what do I do? And it leaves you paralyzed.
Yes.
And so that's what I felt like this last year. I just felt really paralyzed. Versus now, like, okay, it's, again, I just go back to jiu-jitsu just because it's what I know, what I've done for the majority of the last 10 years is times I've gotten the matches with plan. It's gone well. Even if the outcome wasn't what I had originally planned, I still had a plan, and I was able to go off of that. Versus just times you go in and you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do, and you're just kind of like,
You're really shooting from the hip even more than you would be with a goal.
So I think I'm looking forward to implementing that this year and going into the season with confidence because, hey, I have a plan. Here's my plan, and I'm willing to execute the plan and also adjust the plan accordingly.
Well, and I think one thing too, I know for me, like early on, definitely struggled with listening to, I would say the DeQuistos, honestly, in particular, because their goals are so lofty compared to where I'm at. But really being able to, like you've done a good job of kind of just illustrating the idea of taking the principles of what they're talking about and applying it to yourself instead of the specific goals that they're after, right? And that's something where it kind of goes to
they're going after like 170 to 200 inch deer.
And they're talking about literally. I've heard them reference the difference between like 12 inches and it being, a time broke off and it's like heartbreaking for them. And I'm like, what? Like, and it makes me want to be like, what are you like? Who? But honestly, that's the whole thing is that they've had to build up to that. They've had to put the time in for that, and it goes back into, I forget what point it was, but basically the one about social media, successful, all that one. And just like, okay, what is it that is attainable for me?
So, seeing the truth.
Yes, exactly. And so seeing the truth and realizing that these guys with all that experience, there's a ton of good to be taken from it, but it doesn't have to mirror what they're doing right now. So, dude, it's been that was a super good list. I'm really glad we worked through it.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. I'm
Never
looking forward to
never
this
too early to be talking about whitetails.
Never too early. Because
And-
do we ever stop
Thinking about them?
thinking about them?
No.
Or planning?
Nope.
Nope.
Not even a little bit.
I've learned that.
Yeah, it's
So.
a year-round process. Who would have thought? There's just sometimes I bring a sharp stick with me, so that's all. Yeah, well, cool, man.
That's good. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
It's
been
been
fun.
fun.
Thanks for joining us on the fireside chat.
Yeah,
If you're watching on
yeah.
YouTube, it's been fun and
Another good lockdown episode. Hopefully,
yeah.
kept you entertained.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. Again, hope everyone's feeling well.
and alive.
doing well, alive. Jeez, man, you just go right to the extreme,
Yeah, you
don't
know.
you?
Just being a realist that I am. Hope everybody's mental health is doing well.
I hope everyone's thriving.
Yes.
So there's the optimistic.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right, man. Well, let's wrap it up.
All right. Sounds good.
You guys know where to find us. Peace
Peace out.